bipartisan committee to investigate the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol fell apart this week when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected two of the Republicans who were named to that panel, prompting House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to pull all of his GOP picks and threaten to launch his own investigation. Joining us now, Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, who was one of those. He would have been the top Republican on that panel. Congressman, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Good to have you with us this morning.
Hey, Martha, thanks for having me.
So tell me, I know that you had conversations with Representative Benny Thompson about what was going to be the matters at hand, what would be discussed. What do you think blew up this commission last week? What was the motivation?
Well, it's more clear than ever that Nancy Pelosi is not interested in an investigation. She's only interested in a narrative. She claimed that the reason that she booted me from the committee was because of antics on the part of Jim Jordan and I. In hindsight, what I realize what she means by that now is that we were prepared to ask questions that no one else has asked and demand answers as to why the Capitol was vulnerable to an attack on January 6th. Why was there a systemic breakdown of security at the Capitol on January 6th? If you're going to investigate January 6th, why not ask those questions? And that's all that this comes down to. She's already predetermined a narrative about Donald Trump, about Republicans. She doesn't want to talk about what happened at the Capitol that day to make sure that something like that never happens again.
So you don't think that she has concerns about those issues and how that security breakdown happened? Do you think that she feels it will reflect poorly on her?
I really do. And here's why. On Wednesday, before I found out that I was banned from the committee, I found out, by the way, on Twitter. I was meeting with the head of the U.S. Capitol Police Union, who represents the rank and file heroes that make up the Capitol Police, who protect me, my family, my staff every single day. And here's what he told me. The head of the Capitol Police Union told me that on January 6th, the Capitol Police officers weren't prepared for what was going to happen, even though the head of the Capitol Police had intelligence reports dating back to 3 weeks before January 6th that something potentially very dangerous could happen that day. They weren't prepared for it. They weren't trained for it. And maybe most important of all, they weren't equipped for it. They lacked equipment, basic equipment, to take care of something like what should have been expected would occur. And here's the bottom line. Once you go up to the top of the flagpole of who is in charge of the Capitol Police, who the Capitol Police Union chief, they blame the leadership of the Capitol Police. But due to the rules of the United States Capitol, the power structure of the Capitol, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has more control and authority and responsibility over the leadership of the Capitol Police than anyone else in the United States Capitol. So she doesn't want us to ask these questions because at the end of the day, she is ultimately responsible for the breakdown of security at the Capitol that happened on January 6th.
So your colleague, and I think you used to have a pretty good relationship, Liz Cheney, came out swinging against you, calling the things that you had said about the commission disgraceful. Here she is.
I am absolutely confident that we will have a nonpartisan investigation, that it will look at the facts, that it will go wherever the facts may lead. There are 3 members that the minority leader proposed that the speaker did not object to. She has objected to 2 members, and the rhetoric around this from the minority leader and from those 2 members has been disgraceful. This must be an investigation that is focused on facts, and the idea that any of this has become politicized is really unworthy of the office that we all hold and unworthy of our republic.
So she called some of the things that you said disgraceful with regard to this investigation. What do you say to Liz Cheney?
Well, as I've already said, Speaker Pelosi didn't just ban me and Jim Jordan from serving on this committee. She also banned the very basic questions that we're asking. Why was the Capitol vulnerable on that day when 3 weeks before January 6th there were intelligence reports that the leadership of the Capitol Police were aware of? So whether it's Speaker Pelosi or Liz Cheney or anyone who sits on this committee, it's clear that those are questions that we should be demanding answers to. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want me on that committee, but she also doesn't want us to ask those questions because it leads to a series of answers that don't fit her narrative.
So I guess there are a lot of questions this morning about what this investigation is actually going to look like, because Minority Leader McCarthy said you guys are all out. Everybody is not going to participate. And yet we're hearing that Speaker Pelosi intends to go through with this on Tuesday. Here's what she said about the makeup of what this committee might look like just a short time ago. Watch this.
Will you be appointing more Republicans to the committee like Congressman Adam Kinzinger?
That would be my plan.
So when will that be announced?
Perhaps after I speak to Adam Kinzinger. But I'm not about to announce it right this minute.
She's pretty tight-lipped about that. What's your understanding of who they're going to add to the committee? And are you planning to do your own investigation on the Republican side?
Well, again, it's clear that Pelosi only wants members on this committee who will stick to her talking points and stick to her narrative. That's why she's picked the group that she's already picked. And anyone that she asks to be on this committee from this point moving forward will be stuck to her narrative, to her point of view. There won't be another side. And that's, in the history of the Congress, something like this has never happened before. In the history of our country, you've never had the Speaker of the House deny the representatives that the minority party submitted for a select committee. It's never happened before. It's a break in precedent. And as everyone in America knows, you have a majority view, a minority view. That's the whole point of our committee structure in the Congress. So why does Nancy Pelosi not want to hear the other side? Why does she not want to answer the tough questions that Jim Jordan and I were prepared to ask and demand answers to? It's pretty clear why, because the further you go up that chain of command, the closer you get to Speaker Pelosi. We also know that the Senate, by the way, recently completed an investigation of their own. The Homeland Security and the Rules Committee jointly published a report that came out in June, and it talked about the systemic failure of leadership and a breakdown of security on January 6th. We know that a number of documents from the Speaker's office were submitted for that report, but there are also a number of documents that they refused to release, that the Speaker's office refused to release for that investigation, that still sit on the computers in the Speaker's office, that we should be demanding to take a look at as well. And the reason I can only speculate as to why they don't want those documents to be released, because at the end of the day, it shows that the Speaker was involved in the lack of leadership and the breakdown of security that occurred on January 6th.
Congressman Banks, thank you very much. Good to have you with us today. We'll be watching that as it plays out this week. And coming up